and chipping away at her confidence. By the time we finished, she looked exhausted. The next morning, I found her in the kitchen at 5 a.m., laptop open, surrounded by legal documents. She'd been researching fraud statutes and insurance law. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. When I suggested she skip classes, she shook her head firmly. She wouldn't let Izzy disrupt her life, but the disruptions continued. A process server showed up at my office with papers. Izzy was contesting the adoption through a lawyer in Florida. My boss pulled me aside after the scene in the lobby. He reminded me about the company's policy on personal drama affecting work. The warning was clear. That afternoon, Ginnery's academic advisor called. Someone had contacted the school claiming Ginnery had lied on her scholarship application about being an orphan. The advisor assured us the claim was baseless, but they had to investigate. The stress was affecting Ginnery's pre-med studies right before finals. I found myself checking locks obsessively. Every unexpected knock made my heart race. The security I'd built over 18 years felt fragile. One morning, I discovered someone had been through our mail. Nothing was missing, but everything was slightly out of place. Ginnery started sleeping poorly again. I heard her pacing at night, checking windows. The nightmares from her childhood returned. More than once, I found her curled up on the bathroom floor after a panic attack. The therapy techniques we'd learned years ago became daily necessities. My work suffered. I missed deadlines while dealing with lawyers. My supervisor called me in for another meeting. She laid out my recent performance issues. The sympathy in her eyes didn't soften the ultimatum: improve immediately or face termination. 18 years of solid work history meant nothing against recent failures. The financial pressure mounted. Legal consultations drained my checking account. The lawyer I hired required a retainer I could barely afford. Credit cards I'd paid off years ago crept back toward their limits. I started calculating which bills could wait. Ginnery noticed the strain. She offered to use her college savings, but I refused. She increased her work hours, coming home exhausted from double shifts. Her grades started slipping. The pre-med program she'd worked so hard to enter sent warning letters about her attendance. 2 weeks after Izzy's visit, we got word that she'd hired a new legal team. High-powered attorneys from Miami who specialized in adoption challenges. They filed motions in multiple jurisdictions. The simple restraining order wasn't enough to stop legal proceedings. My lawyer explained the situation grimly. Fighting this would take months, maybe years. The costs would be astronomical. Even if we won, the legal bills would destroy us. He suggested settling. Maybe Ginnery could share some of the insurance money if it ever became available. Ginnery refused. She spent hours building her case against Izzy. The investigator she'd hired sent more evidence. Photos of Izzy living lavishly in Costa Rica while we struggled. Bank records showing hidden accounts. Proof of other schemes she'd run over the years, but evidence didn't pay legal bills. The university called again. The investigation into Ginnery's scholarship had expanded. Someone provided them with documents suggesting I'd received payments for adopting Ginnery. Complete fabrications, but they had to investigate. Ginnery's scholarship hung in the balance during final exam season. I started getting calls at work. Hang-ups mostly, but enough to disrupt my concentration. My desk phone would ring constantly during important meetings. IT traced the calls to various burner phones. My boss's patience wore thinner with each interruption. Ginnery's investigator warned us that Izzy had connected with other people she'd scammed over the years. They were comparing notes, possibly planning something together. The investigator needed more money to keep tracking their communications, money we didn't have. One evening, I came home to find Ginnery surrounded by medical textbooks, crying. She'd failed an important exam. The professor offered a makeup, but the damage to her GPA was done. Her dreams of medical school were slipping away because of the chaos Izzy created. The apartment felt smaller every day. We bumped into each other constantly, both of us on edge. Small irritations became bigger fights. Ginnery snapped at me for hovering. I snapped back about her leaving dishes in the sink. The stress fractured our usually solid relationship. My car started having problems. The mechanic found sugar in the gas tank. Coincidence maybe, but the repair bill wasn't. I took the bus to work, adding hours to my commute. Showing up late to meetings